Good morning! Welcome to the 6th Sunday morning book chat. I'm Megan and I blog at Reading Books Like a Boss if you don't know who I am. If you don't know my blog, the links are in the down bar. You can check it out and see if it's something that you're interested in. If not, that's cool. I thought I would talk a little bit about my week in reading. For the second week in a row, I haven't really read that much. I'm still reading Shadow and Bone. I'm not in any kind of book rut. I'm not disliking this book. I'm not in a book funk or anything like that. I just haven't felt like, reading that much. But I'm really, really liking Shadow and Bone. It's fantastic. The world building in that book is fantastic. It's easy to follow. Sometimes I know in fantasy novels, the world building can be a little overwhelming. For example, I found the world building to be overwhelming in Game Board of the Gods by Rochelle Mead. I still ended up liking the book, but it was like a lot to handle. That book was a lot to handle. I was actually just talking to Kayla from My Book Muse. Now I can't remember what she was reviewing. Now I'm going to have to look. Let's see, hold on. She was reviewing, Snow Like Ashes, and she was talking about the world building in that book, and so yeah. But that's another world building book. There you go. So, haven't read that much. Still reading Shadow and Bone. Was rereading a little bit of a book this week because I gifted it to my friend Emily. That book was The Fifth Favor by Shelby Reed. It's just an erotica book, and I really liked it. It was just mindless, but it's about a reporter who works for this magazine, and she's basically hired to do an expose on this male gigolo slash like male escort, and so she goes to like meet with him, and after several interviews and whatnot, they begin to like fall for each other, and so it's just kind of that kind of storyline. I enjoyed that book, but I was reading it because Emily was reading it, so I didn't finish it or anything like that. I was just rereading parts of it. That's what I do. I'm a chronic rereader. So that reread challenge that Bella Villarati is doing, with I think books with Cass or something like that. That's something that I could jump on the bandwagon because I reread books all the time, like just portions. So I don't know. Do you do that? I do that all the time. So yeah, I'm still reading Shadow and Bone. I need to finish that this weekend, and then I'm gonna read Dirty Rowdy Thing by Christina Loren. I keep saying Christina Loren like Sophia Loren, and yeah, so I'm jazzing up their name unintentionally. So yeah, my reading plans this week, finish Shadow and Bone, read Dirty Rowdy Thing, and then I'm going to read Caged in Winter by Brighton Walsh. So that's my plan. What are you reading? What are your reading plans this week? What's on the top of your TBR? I thought I would talk a little bit about some of the books that came out this week because my friend Kayla this morning was talking about, and Lucia too, when I read her review, they were both talking about how amazing Made by J.M. Darhauer was. And like Kayla was like, I cried for 15 solid minutes after finishing it, and apparently November 1st holds like significance. So, yeah, so let's see. Relic came out this week by Teresa Mummert. All Broke Down by Cora Carmack came out this week, and I just read like Lost in Literature's review of that, and they're both like it was so good. So it really kind of made me want to read that really soon. The second book in the Night Owl trilogy by M. Pierce. I haven't read Night Owl. I don't know if I'm going to, but I know a lot of people were like, their minds were blown by Night Owl. So the second book came out. Maid came out. So let's talk about that. So Maid is Corrado's story, and I think you have to read the Sempre books before reading Maid. I think it's a prequel, but I don't know. I think you'd probably get more out of and appreciate his story and all of that before you read Maid, just as a general rule. I haven't read the book, but everybody's saying how emotional it is, and I just love her books. I haven't read The Monster in His Eyes and Torture in Her Soul yet, but I read her other ones, and I really like them a lot. I love them. The Platinum Edition of Dark Duet, which includes Determined to Obey, the kids Celia novella. There's another person in there that I'm forgetting the name, but that came out. And then yesterday, Addicted After All, which is the third book in, well, technically the fourth book-ish in Lily and Lauren's story in the Addicted series. But there are lots of spin-offs and everything, and so there's a suggested reading order on Goodreads that you can check out. But that came out. I wasn't a huge fan of the first book, but most everyone else really loved them, so check those books out. They're really popular. Yeah, and Atlantia by Ali Condi came out. Even the Moon Has Scars by Steph Campbell came out. Yeah, Cherish, which is like the Covet novella by Tracy Garvis Graves, came out too. Lots of books came out. So, yeah, it was a good release week. Next week, of course, Dirty Rowdy Thing comes out. Knocked by Courtney Cole comes out on the 3rd, and everyone's been saying how great that book is, so I'm excited to read that one too. Forbidden by Kimberly Griffiths Little comes out on Tuesday, and I read that book a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoyed the world building and just the setting. That was like the star of the whole book for me. I liked that book. So you should check it out. It's a YA historical type romance. It's not fantasy, but it's YA. I really enjoyed it. Forbidden. There you go. So yeah, what books are you looking forward to for the next week or so? Are there any of those? Oh, and I have to say, The Retribution of Mara Dyer, which is the 3rd book in the Mara Dyer series, that comes out on the 4th. That's been highly anticipated for a long time. Also, 1,000 Pieces of You. I really, really want to read that too. So, so many books. So many books. So I thought I would do something kind of fun. I saw that Novel Sounds, if you have not been following my book blogosphere posts the last few weeks, I've been posting Novel Sounds' Swift-tober posts, and she has a book blog, but she mixes a lot of music in with her book blogging. And her blog's just really unique and fun, so you should check her blog out. But anyway, she's been doing kind of like these Taylor Swift themed posts up to the release of Taylor Swift's album, which came out last week, 1989, if you didn't know. But she's been doing these really fun posts, and last week she did this Taylor Swift book tag, and I thought, I'll do that. That looks fun. So there are 10 questions, and basically they're like each not really questions, but like prompts, and each of them features a Taylor Swift song. So I thought I would do them, or do the prompts and answer or pick a book or whatever. So the first one is We're Never Ever Getting Back Together. Pick a book or series that you were pretty sure you were in love with, but then wanted to break up with. And I was thinking about this, and there hasn't really been a book that I've like been, oh my gosh, I love it, and then something at the end like makes me want to break up with it. Like usually, pretty consistently, I will like a book, and then maybe at the end something will happen and I'll really not like it, or I'll just overall not like it, or I'll overall love it. So I usually don't go from love to like breaking up with a book. So, but I was thinking about like a series that was I was on the fence about, and I really liked one of the books, and then I got to I think it was the 4th book that I got to, and then I was like, I really think that this series and I should part ways, because it's just not really moving me. And that series is the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I really liked the 3rd book, I think it was, The City of Glass. I think that was the one. But the 4th one, it took me a really long time to get through. I don't know if it was just the mood that I'm in, but I really don't have any interest in continuing with that series. But I do want to read the Clockwork Prince series, the kind of spin-off steampunk themed series that features the Shadowhunters. The next one is Red Loving you is red. Yeah. Sorry, I have to sing that. Da, 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 da. Okay. Um, okay. So pick a book with a red cover. Because it's Dirty Rowdy Thing week, I am picking Dirty Rowdy Thing by Christina Lauren. It's red, and I like the cover. So there you go. Pick a book with a red cover. Done. The third one is The Best Day. Pick a book that makes you feel nostalgic. I was thinking about this one too, and I guess one that makes me feel nostalgic for like how I started blogging and just kind of like being introduced to my book friends. That one would have to be The Sea of Tranquility. That book, I read it. I don't even remember how I found out about this group, but there was like in 2012, that's when I kind of discovered this book world and the indie book world, and so I joined the Drowning in the Sea of Tranquility group, which is like kind of a support group for those who have finished the Sea of Tranquility. And anyway, I was added to that book, and I met so many people in that group. I met Fred. I met my friend Brenna. I've met a lot of people in that group, and I still talk to them, like Gina, Trinity, Desiree, Jennifer, obviously Kati Malay. Yeah, so that book kind of makes me feel nostalgic. For love story, pick a book with a forbidden love. Okay, I'm gonna have to pick a couple. I will go with Rose and Dimitri from the Vampire Academy series. Um, if you've seen the movie, I recommend reading the books. If you haven't read the books, I was a little bit disappointed with the movie. But basically, Rose is in training to be a guardian for the Moroi, which is the vampires, and her trainer is Dimitri, and the trainer and the trainee are not allowed to be together because eventually they will be working together to guard their I guess Lissa, and it would be a conflict of interest for them to be together, and so the whole series is just like this push and pull, and it's so good. The other one is I'll just go with another Rochelle Mead series, Georgina Kincaid. I've talked about that before. It's fantastic. It's an adult series, so a YA and adult. There you go. Number 5, I Knew You Were Trouble. Pick a book with a bad character you couldn't help but love. Easy speasy. Okay, that's gonna have to be Luce from Extinguish and Reignite. Again, I've talked about that book ad nauseum. But he is Satan, Lucifer, the devil, the ultimate bad boy, and I can't help but love him. I love him so much. Check those out. Number 6, Innocent. Pick a book that someone ruined the ending for. This is funny. The first one that came to mind is A Little Too Far by Lisa Desrochers. I have actually had that book ruined for me twice. I read a review and it revealed which guy she ends up with because it's a love triangle. And it's a love triangle with a priest in it, so even more like taboo. And I read the review and she revealed which guy it was that she ends up with in the end. So I've actually forgotten which guy or what the reveal was. So that's good. But then a couple of weeks ago, a friend was telling me about the book again, and she told me which guy she ends up with, but I've already forgotten. So, yeah. So it's been ruined, but now it's unruined because of my crappy memory. Number 7, Everything Has Changed. Pick a character from a book who goes through extensive character development. Well, I'll do one. I'll do a book and a series. And the book, this is just perfect timing because the book that I thought of is Mudvayne by Taryn Fisher. This book is one of my all-time favorite books. But Senna Richards is the heroine in this series. And, you know, she, in the beginning and throughout most of the book, she is very unlikable. And I know a lot of people hate her for that very reason. But I don't personally, as a reader, I don't need to like a character to love the book. I actually, when I was reading it, I never once hated Senna. I didn't like some of what she did. I was angry at her choices and how she treated people. But, I understood her. I understood, why she did it. I didn't agree with it. I didn't like it, but I understood her. And there was a little bit of, like, I felt for her. But I love this book. But in the beginning and throughout most of the book, like I said, she's very rough. She's very distancing with people. She pushes people away, and she just goes through a huge metamorphosis by the end of the book. And it's just such a beautiful book. This book is a message book, and I mean that. And it's what happens in the book for me is not as important as what you take from it in the end. And I think a lot of people get wrapped up in the plot points and like what happens. And I think that, those are important, but I think the true greatness about this book is what you take from it and what it meant to you. And for me, it just was like, it just made you look at your whole life, for me anyway. But I think everybody takes a little bit different. Um, they get something different. It means something. Mudvayne means something different for everyone, which I think is part of the the greatness of it again. So yeah, Senna Richards, extensive character development, Mudvayne, and perfect timing because this book was just released on audio. So I've already snatched it. I listened to a little bit of it this morning, and it's really, really good. I love the narrator for Senna. She has that kind of like hard voice that I think is necessary for Senna, kind of to be able to portray that kind of cold emotion. So really, really good. The series that I thought of first was Mac from the Fever series. Again, I've talked about that series a lot. But in Dark Fever, she goes from being this kind of pink, rainbow girl. Like, she wasn't really weak, but she just kind of was clueless as to what she was getting herself into. And by the end of the fifth book, she is just a badass fighter, strong, like she's just amazing. So that's like just a dramatic character change. Number 8, You Belong With Me. Pick your most anticipated book release. I'm gonna have to look at my TBR. The first thing that comes to mind, I guess, would probably be Marrow by Taryn Fisher. I don't know when that's going to be released, but I just love her books. What else? Oh, and Burned, the next book in Karen Marie Moning's Fever series. I haven't read Iced yet. I'm reading that hopefully this month. But Burned, it's going to have some Mac and Barons, and I'm like dying for it. Really also excited for Hero by Samantha Young. I really love her books. I'm excited for the sequel to Boomerang, Rebound, that comes out in February. So all of those I'm excited about. The next question is Forever and Always. Pick your favorite book couple. That's an evil question. I have a few. I have a lot, but just to name a few, in no particular order. Josh and Nastia from The Sea of Tranquility. Caleb and Olivia from the Love Me With Lies series by Taryn Fisher. I guess Mac and Barons from the Fever series. Georgie and Seth from the Georgina Kincaid series. I love Lola and Cricket from Lola and the Boy Next Door by Stephanie Perkins. Dex and Perry from the Experiment in Terror series. Paul and Eliza from How to Kill a Rock Star. There are so many more, but that's just to name a few. Number 10, this is the last one. Come Back, Be Here. Pick the book you would least like to lend out for fear of missing it too much. Most of my paperback books I have an e-copy, so if I were to lend one out, I probably wouldn't miss it. But I do have a prized signed copy that I will never lend out, and that's my signed copy of The Sea of Tranquility. I treasure it too much to give it to anyone. I've even lent out my signed copy of The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. So, but I lent it to a person who's like super particular about everything. So I know that it's going to come back to me completely unscathed. But yeah, I would not lend out my signed Sea of Tranquility book. Also, probably wouldn't lend out Mudvayne, which is signed. Yes, both of those. Don't want anybody to take them. So I thought I would conclude the video by talking a little bit about a blog post I featured in yesterday's book blogosphere post. And that was Nose Graze's post on book blogging. I know not everybody who watches this is a book blogger, but I think it's just a good like reminder in general about lots of things. Like, you know, I assume most people start a blog because they just love books and they love talking about books. And that's why I started my blog. That's why I continue to blog. I just love books. I blog for myself. You know, my motives are not there to make money. I am not blogging about certain books or talking about certain books because I'm friends with an author or, you know, I'm being forced by a publisher to talk about any of these things. Like, I only talk about books that I'm genuinely interested in. I'm only blogging because I want to. And Nose Graze wrote this really great post yesterday about blog for you. And it's just a great reminder for everyone, whether you're, you know, blogging about books or blogging about anything or just anything. Like, bring it back to basics. Remember why you're doing something, and that's all I have to say. But it was just a really great post. If you're wanting to read it, I linked it in yesterday's book blogosphere post, but I'll also link it in the blog post that will go with this video. So you should check it out. But blogging is supposed to be fun. When it stops being fun, that's when I'll quit blogging. But it's still fun for me. I do it because I enjoy it. You know, I only want to make relationships with people. And if that person happens to be an author, great. But if it happens to be a reader, awesome. Like, I don't care who it is, but I just, you know, I want to meet people that I enjoy interacting with. And that's what blogging is all about, is forging relationships with those who, you know, comment or interact with you. And it's just about interacting with people, and it's fun. So, yeah, check out her post. And finally, I thought that since I talked a little bit about books that I added to my TBR last week, I would do that this week. I forget which books I added this week, but let me look. I don't know if any of you follow my blog at any capacity, but I do a weekly post called What I'm Digging, and it's just, I love looking at Etsy and Pinterest and like finding book-related goodies. And so I do a weekly post where I feature a book that I've read and that I liked, and then I do like, you know, book-related things that I found on Etsy or other, you know, merchant websites that are usually I can tie to a book in some way. Last week I featured Trust in Advertising by Victoria Michaels, and so I really liked Boycotts and Barflies and Trust in Advertising. They're both just really fun books. Boycotts and Barflies is more like humor, chick lit. Trust in Advertising is more contemporary fiction, but they're both really enjoyable. I really liked them, and I haven't read her third book, which is Concealed, but and it's the first book in the Hidden series, so I added that to my TBR, so I'm excited to read that. One of my friends, I think Lisa Rutledge, has read it and loved it, so I will be reading that soon. I also added, I thought I'd added this a long time ago, but Illusion by J.S. Cooper. That's published by Gallery, and it comes out on November 11th. It's about this girl and this guy get kind of dumped on this island, and they get dumped in a van, and they wake up, and they're in this van, and the woman sees this mysterious guy that she's with, and she doesn't know who he is, and doesn't know how they got there. So I added that. I also added Love, Fortunes, and Other Disasters by Kimberly Carolius. I don't know if that's how you pronounce your last name, but I'm going to go with it. It comes out next May. Let me read the blurb to you. The reason why I added this is because it was compared to Practical Magic. So it looks like a YA version of Practical Magic, but the blurb goes as follows. Love is real in the town of Grinbod, and Fallon Dupree has dreamed of attending high school there for years. After all, generations of Duprees have successfully followed the 100% accurate love fortunes from Zita's famous love charm shop to happily marry their high school sweethearts. It's a tradition, so she is both stunned and devastated when her fortune states she will never find love. Fortunately, Fallon isn't the only student with a terrible love fortune, and rebellion is brewing. Fallon is determined to take control of her own fate, even if it means working with a notorious heartbreaker like Sebastian. Will Fallon and Sebastian be able to overthrow Zita's tyranny and fall in love? So, I thought that looked good. The last book I added this week was 99 Days by Katie Cotugno. She wrote How to Love, which is kind of a second chance love story book, and I really, really want to read it. I just haven't had the chance to read it. Have you read that book? Let me know. But so her next book, 99 Days, comes out in April, and it looks really good. I won't read the blurb to you, but you should check it out. I'll leave the link in my blog post. It looks like a really great kind of, I want to say maybe like second chance love story-ish, but it's YA. So you should check it out. So, I'd love to know what, like I said earlier, I want to know what you're reading. Tell me what books you added to your to-read list. Maybe I'll find some ideas to add to mine. If you want to do the tag, please let me know, or just do it and let me know. Send me the link to your post. I'm on Twitter, Facebook. Let me know if you do it. And if you guys want to just answer the Taylor Swift book questions, leave me a comment. I'd love to know what your answers were, because that was a lot of fun. So yeah, what are you reading? Tell me how everything's going, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great week. Bye.